BetRivers. Fellas, it's Chris Beard Day. For those who have been tuning into the phenomenal coverage that our fine overlords Field 60 has been putting together, Jeff Goodman is in the trenches. That will be a highly litigated game on today's slate. But Kai, Jim, it is a sneaky, awesome Tuesday rundown. Let's get into it. Last night, Monday, decent slate from last night. I think we can learn a thing or two. Kai, I'll start with you. Tell the folks what you took away from the evening.
Watched a lot of Wyoming, Colorado State, and what a chess match late in the game between Linder and Medved. Fun to watch. Both guys.
Bobby Fischer versus other chess legend guy.
Awesome. Kasparov. It was just fantastic back and forth basketball. What sucked was it was a bit of a ref show at the end. Back-to-back plays, calling charges on EK and Roddy, getting him out of the game. That's no fun, refs. Let the boys play. Also, I was on Colorado State, so I was kind of mad at the result. But fun game either way. Fun to see coaches go at it. Both those teams are great. Jim, your turn.
Yeah, Kai, I'm with you. The back down stuff, like if you can say 3 bounces of the ball before it happens that the guy's going to flop, it shouldn't be a charge. Like it was so obvious that both guys really were like, he's going to fall down. The second he gets close to the basket. It's just frustrating to see that out there. That was really my takeaway too, Kai. That was the game I watched a ton of. Iowa-Penn State was a phenomenal ending. The Keegan Murray tip-in to go to overtime was one of the most insane plays. To cushion a 3-point shot that lightly was mega impressive. But Matt, your Nittany's got it done, knocked off Iowa. They have struggled on the road, and they're playing a 3rd straight road game coming up this week. So the Hawkeyes floundering a little bit right now.
Hey, Shrewsbury, like what he's doing out there in not College Station, Happy Valley. Thank you. No, I am confusing those locations of schools.
Hey,
my takeaway.
Shrewdbury.
Shrewdbury. He is with the old clipboard. Phenomenal tactician. Kai, here's what I learned. This whole UNC Wilmington thing is like a Hollywood script in the making. Every game, they just, whenever you think they're going to fold, they don't. Got down 20, I think, to Drexel. I was on fire.
Wasn't
punched
20.
back. I thought it was close to like 18. I thought it was close to double digits. Okay, it was double digits or low double digits at least first half. Sure enough, find a way to win by 7. They are on fire right now. It's just one of those things where as a handicapper, you put them in the never fade pool. There's just something magical about what's happening. Kind of has like the Drake feel from last year a little bit. The Wofford feel a couple of years. I don't know. They're not that good, but they have that same mojo where you just don't want to mess with it. Yeah, as a handicapper. All right, let's get into it, kids. Texas at Texas Tech. A few people, safe to say, will be interested in this game. A few people will be in attendance. And Kai, so I've been told some, not all, some, were a little bit perturbed when Chris Beard bolted across the state. Perturbed. Thank you.
Okay.
When he bolted west.
Sounds like a video streaming service. Pertube.com.
Perturbed, I like that, where you're watching really angsty videos. Kai, anyway, some people are not very happy about Chris Beard's departure. And this figures to be maybe the best home court crowd electricity in the entire country this year. I almost gave 5 points for home.
I think odds makers did at first. I saw some, maybe it was offshore books open at like 6.5. And I was like, man, that's a lot of respect for Texas Tech, but the atmosphere is going to be absolutely insane. You saw maybe you didn't see, but there's camps, right? Tents outside the stadium very early for this game. Obviously Texas Tech has a lot of ire for Chris Beard right now. Jim, after leaving their school, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be low scoring. Both defenses are insane. I expect a brawl. I'm excited to watch this one. I guess I sort of lean towards the Longhorns with the points with 4 and the under, but I'm not stepping in front of that Texas Tech crowd. Could be magical tonight.
Yeah, I mean, these teams are built so similarly. Like they're really transfer heavy, like in terms of roster construction, and the architect of both defenses is pretty similar. Like they're going to play that no middle style. It's going to be a grind and a half court, like Kai said. And neither one really has the offensive pop to take advantage of the no middle. I don't think there's a lot of like shooting barrages going to happen in this one. We just saw Texas play that ugly rock fight with Tennessee over the weekend. It feels like something similar is going to happen here. I'm kind of on the side of give a ton for home, and I'm leaning towards the Red Raiders. I didn't bet it, but if I had to, that would be my side. I'm sorry, Matt. I know you are you're really working on this contrarian reputation right now.
I am. I am.
Yeah. So I'm more Red Raiders than Longhorns today. I apologize.
Both guys know the playbook, right? Like this should be we know exactly what we're going to do type of game.
Which is predominantly why I thought where the line sat last night, -6, Texas Tech was outrageously too high. I was trying to hop in on the Longhorns some places. Now it's down to 4.5. That's where it should be, right? It's basically like, okay, these are two teams looking in the mirror, carbon copies, and we're giving a fat home court juice to what should be a phenomenal home crowd there in Lubbock. I guess the one thing you have to look at is Texas hasn't proven itself really against top-notch competition. Obviously, they grinded out one against Tennessee, but Texas Tech has been more impressive in bigger spots this season. I think that definitely gives them like an edge in this game that will probably have some real, some kids will be feeling pretty nervy out there. Shannon's dicey. We talked about this. I mean, I think he's going to play. That's what the rumors are pointing towards, but how effective will he be? He could be a real X factor. I mean, this Texas Tech offense, if Bryson Williams isn't going full nuclear, Bryson Williams isn't going full nuclear, then I worry about Tech's offense against the pack line there. All right, another hype home crowd matchup here. Hilton Magic, Kai, reincarnated this year, baby, under odds. They're hosting Kansas, and when I think Hilton Magic, I always think Kansas. Like the Cyhawks always great, but for me, it's like I think Kansas, Iowa State. That is the pinnacle of the Hilton Magic juice. Big news here, just released about an hour ago. Ochai Agbaji will not be playing in tonight's tilt out because of COVID protocol. Yeah, that's large for a team that has really struggled to find offensive balance from the perimeter, just really offensive balance and dynamic creation in general. Player of the year candidate, he matters, Kai. So spread got bet down. What do you make of it where it sits currently?
Yeah, hammered down to -2.5 now. I ordinarily I'd probably pure number wise, even yesterday at 3.5 when I assumed full strength, I kind of lean towards Kansas, but the Iowa State angle at home, the revenge after nearly beating Kansas on the road at Fog Allen scared me. And KU had a 9-point lead in that game. Iowa State stormed back. Agbaji had 22 points. And if you recall, McCormick was in the doghouse during that game. I think he plays more in this one, probably more of a factor, but there's no Agbaji. Maybe Remy Martin's still banged up. So that strength versus strength matchup, KU offense versus Iowa State defense, is severely skewed now towards Iowa State's defense. So right now I'm sort of leaning towards the Clones, Jim.
Yeah, I think the Clones win. Kansas has been not great lately. They're 1-6 against the spread in their last 7. Like I think there's been a lot of maybe even glossing over how kind of poor they've been, not covering big numbers at home and some of the road stuff they've skated by, mostly because of Agbaji's greatness. And without him making a ton of shots and kind of bailing them out, I think Iowa State has the defense to lock them down, keep this one very frustrating. The under is actually my best bet. I think this game is going to be played in the half court, and Kansas loses its most potent offensive weapon without Agbaji. So under 136.5 is my best bet, Matt. Iowa State at home, the way Osselberger has them defending, they've got weapons to throw at Christian Brown. Like you can throw Brockington, Kalsher, and even Trey Williams off the bench. Trey Williams. I think it's Trey Williams.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Thank you. I feel like there's more than one Trey Williams.
There are more than one Trey Williams.
I know.
Which is why it's confusing me. So they've got bodies to throw there, and McCormick isn't ready to be the alpha offensive option right now. So under for me, Matthew. Trey Jackson.
Yeah. There are multiple Trey Jacksons too. Matt.
I agree with our boss, Mr. Jeff Goodman, talking about how McCormick he is who he is, right? You're going to get good games, you're going to get bad games, but I think we need to kind of give up the wishful thinking that he's going to emerge in this consistent dominant force like some of the other top-notch big guys in college basketball are. Sure, could he have a nice game today? Yes. I just think if you're banking on him to lead the charge without Agbaji and with a gimpy Remy Martin, it's going to have to be pristine execution from Kansas's offense, right? Which they played well as a collective. That's, I think, kind of the secret sauce of the Jayhawks is that they the sum is greater than the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, whatever the hell that stupid saying is. I fundamentally believe that's a true thing for Kansas, and we'll see that tested to its fullest today. Jim, you're under. I'm just shocked that the spread came down 2 points, but the total only came down, I think, a point. I think that's a miss. I mean, Agbaji is enormous for this offense, even though it's slight.
He's really good defensively too. The splits, like their defense gets a lot worse when he's off the floor. I have the on-off splits. I guess I should give them out.
Yeah, drop them.
We're doing information here. Per Hoop Explorer, they're plus 32 points per 100 when he's on the court, only plus 8 when he's not. That really drops down. And Hoop Lens is very similar, plus 21 per 100, plus 4 when he's out. The Hoop Explorer stuff is adjusted for competition, which is why it differs from Hoop Lens. But the story is very clear. They are very mortal when he is not on the floor because he's been they're everything so far.
Right. Yeah, I guess my point, I still think the under has value with Jim's best bet there. I don't think it's moved enough to represent Agbaji's offensive impact, even though he is a very good defender, as you mentioned. All right, sorry, belabored it. Next game up here, Kai. The Iron Bowl. Man, there's just a
Iron Ball.
Awesome Iron Ball, baby, on the hardwood. Auburn was a fireball in the opening matchup, Mr. McKeon. I know me and you have a dissenting opinion here on the total. I actually like the under. You are leaning another direction, are you not?
My best bet is the over, Matthew. In fact, yeah. So
far, just for those tracking at home, when Matt openly disagrees with the best bet, that usually wins, as Jim saw last night with UNC Wilmington. So
yeah, as soon as you disagreed, I was like, lock, baby, double the unit.
Total angle here. First game played to 81 possessions, and there's only 158 points, which is just barely over the current number. But both teams were not efficient in the slightest. Like, they were missing tons of shots. I think they're slightly more efficient. I think this game does go 80 possessions again. Both teams want to go up and down. Sidewise, the spot is favoring Auburn. I think Alabama off another mega win. They know they can win these huge games. And if they do, Jim, it's potentially 3 wins over 1 seeds, which you mentioned on the bracket show last night, which is insane. But the road win factor that's always in my head is sticking there. What if Alabama pops Auburn here after Auburn beat them at home? I'm staying away. Line seems sharp, but the over at 156.5 is my best bet.
Yeah. I sort of was torn on the total here because I do think the pace will be there. The fact that the first one was over 80 possessions is insane, and I think sustainable because both teams want to run and they want to launch. The problem is I think Alabama just has trouble scoring against this Auburn defense. Quinterly and Shackelford were a combined 8 for 33 in the first game. You're not really scoring at the rim against this Auburn defense, and that was with Kessler only playing 13 minutes because of foul trouble.
Yep.
And the threes that they end up taking are more forced and not like inside out kick out threes with rotating defenses. Auburn's defense is too good to like completely negate and rule out taking mid-range jumpers. If they know you're not going to shoot from there, I think that makes everything else more difficult. So I'm leaning towards Auburn on the spread here. They're 10-1 against the spread at home. Like, why mess with it? They're awesome at the jungle. And yeah, total wise, torn. So go Kai's best bet.
Another point in your favor here. Yeah, clearly was in fuego against Baylor. I think starting to get him rolling. He's been a little bit in the slump. I think he's the key to this entire offense, man. When he's able to break down the defense, I just think that he opens up a world of opportunities, catch and shoot, catch and drive for those other dudes. A key thing tonight, personnel wise, Darius Miles, game time decision, did not play against Baylor. One of those versatile wingy athletes that I think can defend that archetype that Auburn has in spades. So maybe something to watch if you're looking to nitpick.
If he's not playing, though, that's just more Juwan Gary, or hopefully
more Juwan Gary,
he's been
which is another
excellent.
good defender.
When he plays more, their record is great. I think he only played 6 minutes because of foul trouble in the first meeting. So that really, really hurt Alabama. Yep.
He had 15 points last game, Jim, so actually helped the offense. But I think he's on there because of their defense. Jordan Majeski cited the on-off numbers with Gary in there for Alabama's defense. A big reason why I also just think Bama's more of an under team long-term. But you're right, Kai. Maybe in this matchup, it just gets ballistic up and down pace and people actually make shots. Yeah. Right. All right. Last game here before we pivot to Chat Mob round 1. St. John's hosting Providence, Jim. I would say some people probably look at this line and think trap or fishy, just because, well, St. John's has been disrespected in the market, at least in my opinion, to date this season, especially recently, and favored by a field goal over a Providence team that is first in the Big East. What do you make of it?
Yeah, my buddy at VSiN, Tim Murray, would call this a stinky line, and he would tell you to embrace the stink and take the home team that's favored over the ranked team.
Revel in that stink, baby. Yes.
And some people were, Matt. This got bet from 2 to 3.5 overnight. There's been a little buyback on the Friars, but people just continue to not really buy this Providence team. And I sort of get it. They're not really like blowing away numbers in terms of ATS, but they win. They just repeatedly win over and over again. I do think Kai, though, spot-wise, coming off that big emotional Marquette win where they were getting revenge from a big blowout, now going on the road to St. John's, who needs wins, this could be a little reflective of the Providence at Marquette game where they just got wiped out. So I am leaning towards St. John's, despite the number being a little above probably where I would make it initially.
Yeah, I've seen multiple Twitter birds surprised that Providence is a dog, but you got to throw that record rating out the window. It doesn't equal power rating, doesn't equal ATS. Providence 1-4 against the spread last 5, so they haven't been good against the number in recently. And as Jack Stone in the chat points out, Providence is now the all-time leader in KenPom's luck factor, which is funny, and we can see it. They are squeaking by in all these games.
Quite the honor.
Yeah, I think this spot's great for the Storm. The Friars have a target on their back now with all the games they've won, all the attention they're getting. Providence, Matt, controlled the first game, but both teams were ice cold, 8 for 38 from 3. The Johnnies actually had a 7-point lead in the second half, but we're just 8 for 17 from the free throw line. Hopefully that changes for them at home. I do lean towards St. John's despite the -3 number.
I know myself and our producer, Greg, are very salty that Al Durham couldn't hit a free throw with 0.7 left against Marquette.
How about that?
Oh, well, we'll take it.
I actually lean Providence. I really do. At 3, I think this should be close for like a pick 'em. I didn't give much for home at all, so I'll continue to be against the grain here.
Didn't get much for home.
I didn't. No, I didn't. St. John's.
Why is that?
I just didn't. I think the Big East home courts, especially when you're in that Northeast corridor, just haven't been super great this season. So I don't know. Just my personal opinion on that one. I have nothing else to add here. The under, maybe, if you're looking for a total lean, I think it could be a little slower pace than the typical St. John's bonanza tempo games have been so far this year, but nothing profound. Chat mob time. We got a lot, I assume. Let's do them.
Yep. We'll start with Pat Taylor. Matt, you said you were instituting chat mob locks, and he's 2-0 since you instituted that rule. His lock tonight is your Heels. You love the Tar Heels. We know you go way back with North Carolina. -3 on the road at Louisville. Did Louisville kind of, blow their load, I guess, for lack of a better term, with the big Duke effort? And Malik Williams suspended for this one. Do you agree with him, UNC?
Well, did UNC blow their load with the 100-point shellacking of their cross-town or in-state rival in the research triangle there? The big thing here is Malik Williams not playing. I think he's worth 4 or 5 points for Louisville just because of his defensive presence, and he's sort of a reliable source of offense when their guards are erratic, which has been often this season. However, it sounds like there's some real chemistry issues behind the scenes, so maybe it's like an addition by subtraction. It sounds like it's for Kai's leaning. I have no take on this game. This is the ultimate stay away for me.
If UNC wants to be in the tournament, they have to win. So.
Yeah. I don't like UNC on the road very much. That's my
I don't either.
concern.
Yeah, I don't either.
Kai from Scott Craig, Richmond at Duquesne. The Spiders have been a tough team to figure out. Way more erratic than a team with a ton of seniors should be. Taking on a really young Duke's team. What do you got?
Yeah, and then Duquesne's kind of been limping lately.
There's a Trey Williams in this game.
There is a Trey Williams. He's very good for Duquesne. He's important. I liked it at the higher number. The market bet it down to 6.5. Probably where it should be. I don't trust either team. So I just stayed away and said, no, thank you.
Yeah, I'm with you. I could see maybe a lot of points. Duquesne's defense isn't great, but we'll see. All right, I'm fielding this one because I am with my guy, Ray Reyes. Why doesn't the market respect the Air Troops? I'm with him. They are so feisty as an underdog, getting 15 on the road. I know Spectrum Magic is real, Matthias, but I just have to lean towards Air Force there. They've been really good, and it's a tough team to blow out in a really low total game.
Utah State that first game, though. Utah State remembers that.
Utah State just beating San Diego State. I think this comes to manifest as a sleepy kind of spot, potentially. So I like the Air Troops.
Despite the revenge, I don't know. We'll see. It's Rylan Jones' status also matters. We'll see whether he's able to play coming out of concussion protocol. Matt, multiple people asked about Toledo at Eastern Michigan. Pete said clearly Toledo Faders Anonymous has gone broke because they did not take a bunch of steam against them today. Do you think the Rockets blow out Eastern Michigan?
Nope. I'm on EMU. Got a healthy last game. I think this line's too high.
Stop it.
I'm not betting this game.
Matt, I'm sorry that you're continuing to go broke against Toledo. Betting on Toledo is really fun.
I've only faded them. No, I guess I have faded them quite. I'll look at the numbers. I'll do my Toledo ROI analysis this season. I don't think it's that far in the red. I don't think it's that far in the red. It is in the red. Definitely in the red. It's in the red. It's in the red. It is.
All right, Kai, a few relapses. In the SEC, we've done there's a couple SEC games tonight, but this one is not on the outline. South Carolina at Mississippi State, also from Pat Taylor. Anything for you here?
I'm checking the line, Jim. 8 points. I lean towards South Carolina, but I swore off the Matt Cox, after they let me down like 5 or 6 times, and they did just beat Texas A&M. But that's what they do. They show you that they can beat teams, and then they go and they get blown out. So I actually like the over in this game. That's my biggest lean. Miss-State overs have been popping like crazy lately. Perhaps Tolu Smith being out as part of that. I think both teams will run. So high possession game.
Yeah, I think no Tolu Smith definitely matters for spread and total. So lean towards the Cox and the over. Matt, out west in the Mountain West, Timmy Miles has been, he energized the program early, but the San Jose State Spartans have struggled. Now they're hosting Fresno. Anything for you on that one?
Yeah, the shooting regression was inevitable for San Jose State. They're shooting out of their ass to start the year. They've now been mortal from behind the arc, and they have no interior presence without Diallo. Robinson's not 100%. That's my only concern if you're looking to fade the San Jose State downward spiral. But that's my only point you can make in the Spartans' favor, unfortunately. Timmy Miles, you'll be fine, man. Next year's the year.
I'm laughing. Scott Schaefer asked, what is Eastern Michigan's Twitter account saying about the game? The one that hasn't tweeted in a year.
They rise from the ashes today when they beat Toledo, 90-80.
We'll see. All right, Matthias, let's go back to the outline. I'll continue collecting chat mob questions. We'll hit them more at the end of the show.
Yeah, we're going to Big Ten country. Big Ten's certainly been overshadowed in tonight's slate by the other conferences, but Maryland, the fear of the turtle, those of you who are out in the area, be sure to stop by and check out your whatever team take on Michigan State. A team that I have a dissenting opinion upon, Kai. I know I tend to think this team's pretty good. You guys don't.
You have a dissenting opinion?
I have exclusively dissenting opinions, but this is one of my more, I think, stronger dissenting opinions, Mr. McKeon. Number's been bet down. Maryland opened 4.5. It's been bet down to +3, +3.5 at most places. Yeah. If it hits 3, kids, I will be a Sparty man tonight. Kai, your thoughts?
I took Maryland at 4. I don't like it. They're 3-10 against the spread at home. Not great. But it's a Big Ten. I think home court still matters. Anyone can beat anyone. And Maryland, I think, can beat anyone. They beat Illinois, for instance. Sparty's off that major win against Michigan. I think it's a bit of a letdown spot for them. Maryland's coming off the Indiana loss. And like we've said, Matt, with you, which is where your dissenting opinion comes from, Michigan State's just not that talented. Like, I'm not scared. I think Maryland can go toe-to-toe with them talent-wise. They're obviously a better team. They're obviously better coached. But talent-wise, I think Maryland is pretty close. They do a decent job guarding the perimeter. And Michigan State's defense, it has to regress. Opponents are under 29% from 3 and under 68% from the free throw line. Both lead the Big Ten. That has to regress, and hopefully it starts tonight. I liked Maryland at the higher number. Now I'll pass.
It's elite free throw defense, Kai. You can't teach that.
You just talk a lot of crap, I guess, to him at the line. I don't know.
I'm hoping it doesn't regress too hard, Kai, because I like the under here. 9 of the last 11 meetings have gone under. Obviously, that means a little less without Turgeon in charge. But, Matt, I think the way Manning's playing, it's a little slower. It's a little more through the paint. That actually helps the under even stylistically. So I'm leaning that way. Nothing on the side for me in this one.
Yeah, Kai, you just tell the whole picture of the shooting regression story for Michigan State. They are first in Big Ten in 3-point shooting, first in defense 3-point shooting, first in their own offensive free throw shooting percentage, first in defense. The variance monster is trying to find them. So when it finally gets the Michigan State whatever in its paws and rips to shreds. I hope tonight's not the night though. For my own,
it is a good shooting team.
Sake,
at least they actually have.
I know they have shooters, man. Hauser and
Gabe Brown, Max Christie,
well too, and Gabe Brown. Yeah, they got shooters there. I think it's for real. Oh, another game that we are torn on. Let's continue rolling down the outline here. St. Bonaventure hosting Davidson, a team that has driven us up a wall versus a team that's been fun and a rocket ship all season. Here's my take on this, Jim. I know you're going to rip it to shreds, as you probably should. In the 2 games where I feel like the Bonnies have been motivated against a legit quote-unquote opponent in Buffalo and VCU, although we now know Buffalo's not that good. Just kind of aside there. The Bonnies covered, and they won both those games. They dominated VCU. To me, it feels like a game where we see Bonaventure's best effort start to finish against a top-tier A10 opponent that they need to beat. Why am I an idiot?
Why were they more motivated against Buffalo than Northern Iowa?
It's a big rival, Northern New York, Buffalo area, whatever.
You talk circles around why this Bonnie team has been bad.
That's a thing.
But they're 2-6 against the spread at home. They've been one of the most disappointing teams in the country this year. I think you're setting up goalposts in like the most convenient way possible for them.
I am. That's what I do. As a handicapper, that's what I
do. The VCU game is what spooked me off taking Davidson, because they are capable of getting up for a big home performance in front of a huge hype crowd. They still have outside hopes, thoughts of an A10 title, and that really runs through this game. If they lose, they're not eliminated, but it's going to be a long comeback for it. So as much as I want to bet Davidson, they're the more fun team. They're clearly better, more cohesive, have a better identity figured out right now. I'm just am a little bit spooked, Kai, of the Olean
home
court
he's
advantage.
Scared of the Bonnie. He's scared of the Bonnies.
That one VCU game, if that VCU game hadn't gone that way, I'd be ready to take Davidson.
Yeah, and I was on VCU that game. Yeah, shrewd better just says, oh, Bonnie, you make Bonnies play another good game. You take Davidson. The Bonnies have been bad. Davidson's been good. It's simple. Hey, that's what betting is, man. It's just really, really easy, and everyone can do it. I think it might be, though. The strengths, Bonnies are awesome on the glass, and then get to the line. They can't shoot. Those are the opposite of what Davidson's been struggling with. They're fine on the glass this year. They've been getting killed from deep defensively. Bonnies can't really exploit either one. I think Davidson scores pretty easily, but the under is my favorite lean here due to the pace I expect this game to play at. Both games last season, both of them played 56 possessions. So this game is going to be a crawl. Davidson, Matt, 0-2 last year against St. Bonaventure. They're awesome this season. Perhaps they use that as more of a motivation factor. So leaning Dave, leaning under.
Yeah, I mean, just to be clear, I'm not like betting Bonaventure here. I think the price is about right. It sounds like none of us actually have action on this game. Just a general disagreement in how we see the narratives in both teams and the angle of the spot. I would remind folks that Bonaventure did beat Clemson and Boise and Marquette, by the way, by 16 points as well.
Why weren't they motivated against Virginia Tech? That's what I want to know.
Wasn't that off the COVID pause? No, that game was disaster. Game was horrid, absolutely horrid.
You could argue.
I was not actually. You both were idiots, losers. I'm joking. Let's continue. We're staying in the eastern part of the country. As someone pointed out in the chat, it's Western New York, the Bonaventure, Buffalo, not Northern New York, Western Kai by Niagara Falls there. But hey, we're going to store.
You don't got to tell me.
I do. Yeah, you do. We both need lessons. We both need reminders about that type of stuff. We're going to Stores, Connecticut, though, for this one. UConn will be hosting the Jump Shooting Jays, as we used to call them, Jim. But this year, the Jump Shooting Jays are more of the interior focus paint patrolling Jays with their size and length. Now, that's what UConn has in abundance. So you could argue this is a tough matchup for the Jays. I think the number is too big, though. It's up to 10.5. I laid 10, or I took 10.5 with the Jays.
Yeah, double digits feels really high. This is actually in Hartford, man. No, it's not in
Hartford.
Okay. This is at the Excel Center, the bigger venue,
which I like. I think, yeah.
Do you? Interesting. Oh, for Creighton.
For Creighton. Yeah, I think that's a lower home court edge for UConn. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they've got Kalkbrenner to somewhat negate Sonogo inside, and I think that's kind of been the go-to offense for UConn is let's get the ball to Sonogo, force rotations because no one can really guard him one-on-one, and maybe Kalkbrenner can do that a little bit. It's just such a different matchup than any historical Creighton versus UConn game because of the shape and the structure of this Creighton team versus past ones where it was all pace and space and a lot of shooting. This one doesn't have the same kind of fingerprint. So I am actually leaning towards Creighton just because it is so high. But Kai, it's not a emphatic punch against the market, all like home run side here.
Yeah, UConn took a lot of money, and they've been really good. They didn't cover against DePaul, but they did 5 of the last 6 before that. And Creighton's on a bit of a skid, losing to Butler and Xavier. I think Sonogo has a pretty big advantage on Kalkbrenner, but I hadn't given him a lot of credit either this season. And he's certainly been better than my expectations. He's just not strong at all. And Sonogo is very strong. That guy is enormous, especially in person. I think Creighton, Matt, though, has enough pieces to hang around within double digits. It is a big spread. They've been solid against the spread as an underdog this year. So I do lean towards the Jays.
Yeah, here's my Jays concerns. You could argue they're starting to hit that freshman wall. We've seen them have some turnover issues, really floundered down the stretch against Xavier. Although from what I watched in that game, I thought that was more of a
29-2 run was not good.
I kind of think that was some fluky shooting by Xavier. I'll be honest, like Nunji hitting 2 absurd threes. I think they banked another 3 too. And young teams don't respond well to that kind of adversity, especially like in their home crowd where it just kind of felt like you could hear a pin drop. I don't know. Whatever. I think that was still a very good effort. This Creighton team is very good. They're going to be prone to these ups and downs, this volatility. I just think this spot is a good matchup for them. And I think they play well. They compete. So last game on the outline, SEC country, Tennessee hosting Texas A&M. This one has ugly, gross, drag out rock fight written all over it, Jim. The under feels too obvious. I almost took it. From a spread perspective, it feels pretty big for Tennessee, a team that doesn't really have offensive continuity at all. What are you looking at here?
The under feels easy because the offenses stink, but I think tempo will actually be not up and down, but Texas A&M will pressure you and probably will force a few turnovers against the young Tennessee backcourt. So maybe that amps up tempo just a little bit. That has me scared off the under, despite it, that kind of being the gut reaction when you see these two teams next to each other. I don't trust Tennessee as a big favorite at all. I think Texas A&M is feisty enough to hang around. Double digits, Tennessee laying double digits, I can't imagine has been a good bet, especially in conference play over the last 5 years. Kai has a stat for me. Hit me with it.
Yeah. Well, they're 4-4 as a double-digit favorite this year against the spread. But caveat, I think 3 of those games, maybe even 4, were non-conference against inferior competition.
Presbyterian, East Tennessee State, UNC Greensboro. Those are the teams they beat by 40.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and Texas A&M, by the way, has not been this big of a dog all season. They've covered 5 of the last 7. I think someone pointed out in the chat they haven't lost by more than 12 points all year. So they hang around. And Tennessee, we've kind of been saying it. I don't think they're going to blow Texas A&M out because of their offense, but I can't see Texas A&M scoring at all. I think Tennessee locks them up defensively. So while I agree the pace probably plays a little more up-tempo than people think, I think the efficiency is not going to be there. I guess I lean towards A&M slightly and slightly towards the underlean as well, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Vols. Everyone knows that. I was actually leaning toward A&M here. It just seems like a decent spot for the Aggies. Buzz seems fairly encouraged in some of his post-game pressers. They lost 4 in a row, but 3 of those were pretty excusable. 2 were on the road. I think
almost lost to Mizzou as well.
Before struggling. I think they've been playing pretty well. I think they're not going to be a team that's going to beat. They're going to be dicey against the bottom part of the SEC, but they're going to be feisty against the upper part of the SEC.
They had a nice effort against Kentucky where they would have won if they didn't shoot 1 for 22 from deep.
Right. So I think when they have expectations, not a great bet. When they're sort of the no one believes in us, that's right up Buzz's alley. Just junkyard dog type of dude. And his teams play so damn hard, and that matters. That's a skill, especially when you're laying or when you're catching 10.5, 11.5, whatever price you lock in there. All right, outline done. Chat mob round 2. Jim, let's open it up.
Right back to you, Matt. My local team, UNLV, kind of one of your darlings this season. They're hosting Nevada. Injury issues on both sides with Warren Washington and Donovan Williams. Anything for you on this game?
Yeah, I just saw Don Williams has been reported as doubtful for this game after initially being slated as a game time decision. Also, Grant Sherfield's been injured. He's playing hurt, which is a major issue for Nevada, a team that really relies heavily on his playmaking. Nevada's been a house of cards. How much farther can they fall? I don't know. I don't want to really lay points with UNLV, Jim, but that's the way I'd lean, given just the direction I think Nevada's headed right now.
Yeah, I think it's priced fairly properly. And the Nevada issues with their lineup, with Sherfield banged up and Washington out, these are 2 of their 3 most important players. And their trajectory is down. So yeah, sort of lean towards UNLV. Kai, we're going to the MAC, even though I think Matt might have more of a take on this game, but I'm going to you. Canisius at Siena. The Saints, are they going marching in again today?
Yeah, I guess I lean towards Siena. The MAC's tough to figure out, man. Home court doesn't seem to matter much, especially these 2 teams. Another geography lesson. I don't think Canisius and Siena are super far away. Someone can correct me on that one. Aiden Carper's been out last 2 games for Siena. Hasn't mattered, but he's been out. I think that's a factor.
Doesn't matter. Colby Rogers is awesome. Yeah. Buffalo to Albany is not an easy trip, both in the non-New York City part of New York. No, I haven't, Kai. We did a cross country from Chicago to Boston. We drove through upstate New York, but I don't think we did an Albany. Anyway, that aside, I lean Siena. We're marching, fellas. Trust it. Keep riding.
Always marching. You're always marching.
Always marching.
All right, 2-pack from Ryan Abramowitz. Matt, starting with you, both from the West Coast. UC Davis headed to UC Riverside. We just got the official announcement yesterday that JP Mormon is done for the year for UC Riverside. He hasn't been
tracking that one.
Yeah, I wrote down what happened to JP Mormon. Someone please tell me.
He left. But UC Davis taking a little bit of money down from 6 to 5. What do you think? Matt, this was a question directed.
Oh, sorry, for me. Sorry, I thought I was going for Kai. I have no take here, Jim. I don't know what Riverside really is without Mormon. They really need his offensive presence. And I actually don't love the defense as much as I did last season. They're not as imposing or overwhelmingly long or suffocating. So, they're extremely well coached and they have that leg to stand on. But I just, in general, Kai, falling out of favor with this Riverside team, especially without Mormon.
Yeah, I kind of like Davis here. I think they're feisty as an underdog. And Riverside's got the weird needs double regression where no one's making threes against them, but they're not making threes either. So that's not strong enough angle. Kai, you get Cal at Stanford, also out west from Ryan Abramowitz.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Stanford. Rumors of personnel. for Cal. I lean towards Stanford, but nothing strong. Home's not very much here. These schools are close. Ish.
Yeah. Andre Kelly got banged up late last game.
Yeah.
Bay Area. These are very close.
Lean Stanford, but Cal's been feisty.
Ball State at Ohio, we are saving for best bets. So
give it to me.
We'll get
Everyone knows I'm going there, Jim.
Yeah, that's true.
Ball State. Ohio can't guard its shadow. And I know I like Ball State more than I probably should, but Ball State's been pretty feisty, kids. I think you have to give me some credit on that one. Double digits against a team that can't guard, especially a team that might be without Ben Roderick, already chipping into the lackluster, insufficient depth that I'd say the Bobcats have. I worry that Sears could have 40. Very, very real concern. But Peyton Sparks should have a field day inside against those more inverted bigs that Ohio trots out there.
If you told me Roderick was going to be out, I would be with you on this one. So leaning towards Ball State, but not quite there on the number unless Roderick's out. Kai, staying in the MAC, Kent State headed to Miami, Ohio. This question from our guy, Harry R. Miami, Ohio got blown out by Eastern Michigan without Delonte Brown. He's likely out again today. Is that the key factor for you?
Yeah, I think it is. They're clearly worse without him, and Kent State just got Santiago back. They looked really good against Bowling Green, so I lean towards Kent State.
Kent State should have a field day inside. Absolute bloodbath on the boards.
Matt from D Nice and a couple others. Boston College at Virginia. Ken Palm's only got this line 6, but some people are thinking maybe 8.5, 9 is too short. Virginia laying points, though, has been a tough recipe this year.
Yeah, they've been better I guess at home, they've not been as played as well as they have on the road on a relative cover margin basis. I kind of lean Virginia. Kai, I know you're leaning that way too. You probably have a more profound take here.
Yeah, but I'm not strong. I would probably lay the points, but it doesn't feel good because just looking at the spread, you're like, Virginia can't be this high over anybody.
Trivia question for you guys. Where is Virginia's defense ranked in the ACC right now so far in conference play?
I'll guess 9th.
6th.
13th.
Wow.
Virginia has the 13th best defense in the ACC, a bad ACC. Just want to kind of put that out there.
That is a problem. Yeah, the personnel is not quite there. All right, a twofer from the Big Ten. Kyle, go to you first from Matt Catenacci. We got Road Rutgers headed to Northwestern, who can't win close games. Is this game too tough to predict, or do you actually have a lean on it?
Number-wise, probably Rutgers, but I think Northwestern gets it done. They get it done, Jim. It's a winnable game. They're at home. They've gotten close before. I think they get it done.
Yeah, Rutgers couldn't win at shorthand in Minnesota. They're just not very good on the road.
They have no bench themselves. Yeah, I think they're starting to kind of crack.
Matt, you get from Mike Adams, Nebraska headed to Michigan. We saw the Wolverines just clobber Nebraska in Lincoln. Do they do the same thing in Ann Arbor?
I kind of think so, and it's a pretty good spot. I kind of like this Nebraska team. I think they're going to trend up, but this matchup is not the time to back them. If anything, I go Michigan.
Lonzo Verge was out last game. I think it actually helped them.
It's like personal reasons. Yeah, I don't know. Hard to figure.
I buy that Ewing theory. Like he's electric, but also
now it's just the McGowan's better pecking order.
Yeah. Okay. I buy it. Into it.
All right, Matt, right back to you from the MAC. Northern Illinois at Western Michigan. The Broncos been a little bit of a pet team for you. I kind of like Western Michigan with B. Artis White back, but they've taken a bunch of money.
They have, which is a good thing for you folks. Don't bet them. They love to blow leads and they love to blow covers. They've just been a complete train wreck in the final 5 minutes, but seeing B. Artis White and Lamar Norman back and making shots is very encouraging. I think they are undervalued, just not a team you really want to trust on a consistent basis.
All right, Kai, last one in the chat, Russell and a couple others. You got to give a very profound take here. I need something from you. Seton Hall headed to Georgetown. Why should we not take the over with this Georgetown defense involved? Why should we not fade Georgetown? What do you think?
Yeah, I think I actually took the under because of Bryce Aiken. I think he's still on the fence. And Seton Hall's been a very, very strong under team without him in the lineup. But Georgetown's defense is like historically bad for the Big East. Georgetown's been really feisty as an underdog. And I'm trying to look. I mean, they've covered 3 of the last 4 as an underdog in the Big East. I kind of lean their way at 7.5, especially with no Aiken.
I was on the one they didn't cover. Freaking Hoyas, man.
That's so tough.
Yep.
So was I. I've been on like last 4 games. But
yeah, well, they covered 3 out of 4 for you then. That's good.
That's called a positive ROI.
Yep. All right, that wraps up the chat mob section. Next, we'll go to best bets. I'll quick recap what mine was. It was the Iowa State Kansas under 136.5. No Agbaji. I think it's a slow game in front of the Hilton Magic faithful. Like the under there. Matt, you've given one best bet. I don't believe you've given the second yet.
Yeah, I'm gonna start playing more because I'm tired of giving one, and then that's the one that gives up the 29-0 run to start the second half, despite being up 10 in the first half. Pacific, what are we doing? Let's play a full 40 minutes. It's the NBA plays 48. We can't play 40. Despicable. Anyway, Ball State. So make sure you guys lock that in. And my other best bet is Creighton. That's right. I forgot. I should have underscored that when we talked about it. Creighton, anything at 10 or higher. I believe BetRivers is still holding that within range.
You get 10 currently. And a half.
Yeah, I'll take the hook there too. I think that plays to a little bit lower number than the total indicates. I think Creighton keeps it close.
Great.
So for me. Kai.
Mine was Auburn, Alabama, the Iron Ball going over 156 and a half, 80 plus possessions. That's what we start chanting for that game.
Yeah,
that's a lock because I disagree with it. Remember that, folks. That's a lock because I do not agree with that take.
You jinx me one more time, pal.
Crap. Yeah, he agreed with my best. He loves so my under's screwed.
Yeah, that's true. So Jim's is probably screwed. Kai's is probably good, and mine are screwed no matter what. So there you go. 1 and 3. It's already decided. You don't have to watch them tonight, fellas. Ladies, enjoy the night in college basketball. Should be a fun one. Lot to look forward to. Come back tomorrow, same time, and good luck tonight. Thank you, BetRivers. Hey, hit the like button, subscribe right now before we sign off. And now we conclude. Thank you.